5:45 the first morning.
Are they, they're not a 24-hour.
They close at 10:30.
Did you get one of those donuts for a year
all the
thing?
details,
Did you get the
don't you?
donuts for a year?
No, it was the frosty, or not the frosty,
No, I did. Right.
Yeah, I'm used to being gone quite a bit. No, it's the job. I got promoted at work, and then
Ashley, the girl that cuts my hair is with
Travel
the,
JC.
gonna be, she's
And I
with
went over to
Shaw
JC
Spas,
too,
Shaw Spas.
it'll go.
And I was asking her about that
Still same thing.
a week ago, and she said they haven't even gotten their permit yet to
Still waiting on revisions, I think, from their architect.
They moved it back down.
do this,
Nobody
because
came down.
they are they'll be excellent clients.
They've been wonderful.
Yeah, they
to
are
meet
just
with and
uptown, great.
really wanting to
Not been as- our
rejuvenate
summers
that
are slow
space. I
anyway.
mean, I think it'll be a good fit there too.
Oh, I do
that type of
too.
use.
I feel like
Yeah,
there's
the-
more brought up in home.
The codes have been
Yeah.
going back
There
and
is.
forth.
Well, did you
on
watch
some
the
revisions
debate
that need to be
last
made.
night?
She sees a bunch of
Separation and some different things.
They do. I mean, just very
Other
high end.
location has just been very successful.
That's where I go,
It's
and
too
it's
much
wonderful.
TV.
His business.
And they
is
said,
Some programming teams.
They were talking about, there's something like 90 million that watched
Yeah,
it.
they,
And they
you'll be
said the
pleased
big
to have them.
question was, did they watch the whole thing
Yeah.
or just the first part of
So,
it?
you know, so there's
They
a lot
thought
of
there
that
was
stuff
probably
that's
a big drop-off after the first half.
Well, it starts getting later too, so. that
Yeah.
makes a difference.
Gets late early.
Whenever you're ready,
You ready?
whenever you are.
It's 7 o'clock. so.
Okay, yes, sir.
All right, it's 7 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and call the September Visual Resources Review Board meeting to order. And tonight, the first item on our agenda is the election of the officers. We have 3 positions, the chair, the vice chair, and the secretary. I think we typically take these one at a time. So let's start by chair for nominations for chair for this upcoming year. Do we have a nomination?
Well, I'd like to nominate Marty Lehman.
Do we?
Second that.
Okay, we have a nomination and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, the second officer would be the vice chair position. And do we have a nomination for vice chair?
Well, I'd like to nominate Brittany.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right, we have a nomination and a second for Brittany. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And then the last position is secretary. So do we have a nomination for secretary?
I will nominate Dwayne for secretary.
Okay, I'd like to decline that and nominate Cynthia.
Okay.
Okay. Well, we have a nomination for Cynthia. Do we have a second for that?
We've gone back and forth. It'd be nice to nominate somebody else, I think.
Okay.
I mean, they've been, secretary for a while, so it would be nice to have somebody.
No, she isn't secretary right now.
No, you are.
Yeah.
And Dwayne is.
But
Yeah.
she was before you were.
Oh,
Okay, we don't have a second on that nomination, so I guess we'll go to another nomination for secretary. Do you have one?
I nominate
Edwin?
Edward.
Okay. All right, do we have a second? We have a second for that nomination?
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Do we have, all in favor say aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So we'll carry on to the approval of minutes from the July 26th meeting, as we didn't have an August meeting. Is there any discussion on the content of the minutes from July? Okay, do we have a motion for the minutes approval?
I move that the minutes be approved as submitted.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And I'll abstain since I wasn't here at the meeting. All right, so we had several wall signs approved over this last couple of months. Are there any questions about those or any other discussion we need to have on the wall signs? Okay, if there's no discussion there, we'll move on to the ground-mounted sign applications. And I believe if we, I don't think we have anybody here for the first three, but we do have item D, Don Delphi's Pancake House representative present. So we'll move to that one and start there.
Yes, sir. This is a tenant panel for that existing ground-mounted sign there at Weston Center. It's not really a traditional sign as we see them, certainly since it's a pre-existing non-conforming type sign, but they can replace the tenant panels on there. Staff feels that this is legible and architecturally compatible with the other signs that are there based on the material, and staff would recommend approval.
Okay. It certainly appears that that would be easily readable down Kingston Pike.
Yeah, what I like is Pancake House and Restaurant stand out. I mean, it's immaterial, it's,
We couldn't go too much bigger because of the space.
yeah,
But we made the Pancake House and Restaurant as big as possible.
yeah. That's good.
Okay, do we have any further discussion on this item? Do we have a motion? Okay, do we have a second?
A second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much. All right, the next item that I think we have someone present for is Bank of America, is that correct? So we'll move to that item.
All righty. This is for a 26 square foot internally illuminated ground mounted sign. I had sent you all this packet of this sign because we've been talking about it, and this is the proposal that they had sent. You know, we had some discussion about their tenant panels, and forgive me because this is washing out, but it's the same taupe, dark cream color kind of backgrounds. They're looking at not changing that ground mounted sign to having that aluminum type backing, and changing their directional signage and building signage that's wayfinding directional for the drive-through. Here's the drive-through too. Type signage away from that aluminum backing to now be consistent with that ground-mounted sign that's there. Staff would recommend approval subject to an as-built survey verifying setbacks once constructed.
So everything looks legible to me. The letters, Bank of America, do we know how large they are?
The mounting there is 3'7". The 107, I mean, for reference, those are 8-inch letters at the top. So they're going to be somewhere in that ballpark.
6 inches or so.
Yeah.
Okay.
6
Just
inch.
that's a stretch of Kingston Pike that you can drive down pretty quickly if the lights are in your favor, and you can zip on past. So just thinking in terms of making it large enough so that you get noticed. So that was the thinking there, because you can drive pretty fast down that stretch. Is there any?
I think it looks fine, and they
Yeah.
have revised it, and, like we asked, and I
The
would,
colors work with what's out there.
colors are good. I would recommend that we approve it.
Okay.
Where exactly does it sit?
It'll actually sit closer to the property line of, it's not down towards the light. It's actually closer to the property line of the Costco parking lot, moving towards Walgreens up, because that kind of levels off there, because if you've been by the site, they've had to retain to get an ADA compliant access from the greenway up to the bank. So it's going to be kind of to that far east property line back there. Where it is actually a little more level, and I think probably going to be a little more visible than closer to the light because of the grades through there. So
Is there a landscape plan or for around that, or have we?
there is a landscape plan. It was in that very initial packet that I had sent to you all.
Okay.
That site is heavily landscaped anyway, and will be on the Costco side and with this. So I'm really not concerned about landscaping here. We were just working with Gary Hayes to really get the sign in order so we can go ahead and issue the permit, since they still have a lot of construction activity going on out there.
Okay.
Does this have lighting?
It is internally illuminated. It's the acrylic push-through type letters. So.
I have one curious question, more of a curiosity.
Sure.
The brick, is that the brick color of the building itself, is that consistent with Bank of America?
It's supposed to be the same color that's on the building.
Yeah,
But,
yeah,
we deal with the architect
okay.
and the sign company are meshing it together. I got a drawing here that shows a little bit more of what the color is. It's more of the sand color on that base.
Yeah.
That helps you
Yeah.
out any at all. It just doesn't do it.
Justice
Right.
there for certainly. Yeah, it's greatly washed out compared to
Yeah.
what. But the brick is something consistently that we've required in the town. If the building's brick, the base of the sign to be brick. That way, at least there's an architectural element tying the sign to the development that's occurred on the
The
property.
retention wall is brick, and it looks to be the same color. That was the first thing I noticed.
Okay, is there any further discussion on this? So I think
We
we
have a
had a
motion.
motion already to approve the sign. So do we have a second?
A second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gary.
All right, the next item on the agenda that we'll move to now is item F for Dairy Queen.
This is Dairy Queen. We've been discussing it quite a bit this evening since it's so popular in our community right now. But this is their rendering to replace the former Krispy Kreme sign, if you were familiar with where it was located on the property. It's since been completely removed with the base. The landscaping is actually still intact where that sign was, but this is the proposal. We feel as though it's very legible. The only thing that we recommend changing is actually the address numbers being affixed to the top of the sign. So they're more prominent and people can see them. It's also an ordinance requirement. So we would recommend approval subject to that modification. And then because the other sign has been completely removed, an as-built survey once this sign's installed verifying setbacks, since it's greater than the 20 square feet.
Okay.
Okay. One thing about the address numbers, could you also ask them to have it illuminated?
You certainly can.
I mean, it's not a requirement, but just tell them, we like that.
Well, we,
Illuminate if they'll come from Blunt County.
may not be able to handle that.
Yeah. Yeah, until they get theirs built over there, I think this is going to be the hot place to be. So
Dairy Queen illuminated? Is it?
it is. It's
Okay.
that sign is internally illuminated. Really, the black is going to black out the light. So where you see color, you'll see light.
Okay. So we have someone here for DQ is, obviously moving the numbers on top is one of the ordinances, but that plus lighting the numbers, does that work for you? Okay. All right.
You would go with probably more than likely, I'm not kind of speaking off the top of my head because I hadn't talked about it. There would be a black background with the white push-through letters.
Yeah.
As long as the letters are at least, as they've shown, at 8 inches. Yeah.
So at 8 inches high, the lettering of the sign adjusted accordingly.
Yeah, it could come. Well, it doesn't impact the overall height. You can have that in addition to the height that's shown here. So, yeah, they just need to email me a rendering of it.
So you need a rendering of that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And then if they approve it, then we can issue the permit to start construction on it. So,
Sure.
That would require another hearing?
No.
Okay.
No, you can send a rendering and she'll email us. We'll get you moving along on that.
Thank you.
Any further discussion on Dairy Queen? Do we have a motion with those couple of subject twos?
All motion to approve, subject to the setbacks being verified and the address numbers being moved to the top
Okay.
needed.
and eliminated.
Okay.
And I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much and
Thank
good
you.
luck.
Thank you.
Sounds like you've had good luck so far.
So far, it's been good. You made it.
All right.
See you soon.
See you, okay? Maybe in the morning?
Maybe.
Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you. All right, we'll back up now at the beginning of the ground-mounted sign applications with First Watch.
So First Watch is actually going to be taking over the space for the Egg and I. They're at the Shops at Level Place. Didn't know this, but they are actually the same company.
Oh,
Right.
So I did not know. So the
For a couple
rent-
of years.
Yeah,
First Watch bought one.
I really did not know that. So, we received the revision to make the background cream colored, and I apologize again. The lights in this projection really, kind of make it look white, in my opinion, but it is consistent now with the other signs, and staff would recommend approval.
if they are the same thing, why don't they just leave the Agonite there?
I have no idea.
Great question.
I think we would all love to know the answer to that. So, but unless their demographics are different and they're seeing us.
What, 2 miles between them?
The menus are not the same.
No, they're not
No,
the same
they're
menu.
not. No. Well, it looks legible and readable.
There's nothing wrong with this. I like the
It
sign.
looks fine, yeah.
Okay. Is there any further discussion on First Watch? Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, David Dunaway and Associates.
Yes, sir. This is a tenant panel and existing sign for the Chamber of Commerce here on Kingston Pike. Staff feels it's legible and architecturally compatible with the other signs, and staff would recommend approval.
What's a PLLC?
It's a professional limited liability company.
Yeah. They're an attorney's office.
They're an attorney's office? Well, I know an attorney named David Dunaway. Went to school with him. Okay. Is he moving here from another county?
I think there's another attorney that's setting up there under their corporate umbrella.
Okay.
He's probably the associates.
Well, he's old enough to be the head of it. Okay.
Any further discussion on this sign?
It seems like the State Farm kind of overwhelms it, though. I mean, it's just sort of stuck in the center. Essential Health is big. And
This is an
big.
old picture. When I went out there the other day, the State Farm sign, I don't believe is there anymore.
Okay. Okay.
I think
I
once
thi-
they put it on, it'll look different too, because it looks like this.
But-
It probably won't look exactly like
Just got
that when
stuck
they.
in there.
They photoshopped it in just so we would have a sample.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but and I may be thinking of the Movement Mortgage one because there's two of these signs right there next to each other. But yeah, the State Farm sign, if it's still there, takes up quite a bit of that.
All right. Do we have a motion
I make a motion to approve.
and a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Halloween City ground mounted sign.
Okay.
I saw that already.
So this is a tenant panel on an existing ground mounted sign there at the old Kroger. We've included quite a bit in your write-up as it relates to this. And I guess I will say the discussion as it relates to the tenant panel really carries on to another item on your agenda related to the wall sign. In reviewing the adopted architectural design standards, staff does not feel that this tenant panel meets several of the guidelines established in the document. And I mean, really, we note those guidelines 1.1 and guideline 1.3, but I mean, really, guideline 1.3D, avoiding the use of day glow colors is really the big one as it relates. And also, this tenant panel we did not feel was consistent with the other tenant panels on the sign. Like I said, we felt it was architecturally inconsistent, and the wall sign too. And there's more discussion over in the wall sign section, but we realize this is a temporary business. However, our ordinance isn't structured to deal with businesses that are here for 60, 90 days. We have to look at them as permanent businesses that could be here year-round.
I'll make an amendment to the ordinance.
We could make an amendment to the ordinance, but then I would think we could have some concern too about what types of signs would we allow as a part of these types of temporary businesses.
Do they even need to have a sign? Because can they have one on their building?
Yeah, they can have one on the building.
Most people know what Halloween City is.
Right.
So why does it even need to be on there?
I think probably because they have this, they're leasing a large space there, and just be more visible from Kingston Pike.
Complain about day glow colors. Are we talking about the yellow or the orange?
We're talking about the combination of them together. Really, the yellow, the orange, and it's not as obtrusive, I don't think, but it's not consistent at all with the Farragut wine and spirit signs that are there at all.
If they did it in black, would it be acceptable?
I think that's something we could talk about, certainly.
Color or just it just looks like it's stuck on
Because time to
there.
get a
Well, it
sign
was
made
stuck
and
on
put up,
there.
they'll be gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, but at the same time, I think their business, if they're going to be short term, we have temporary signage provisions through the Shop Farragut logo type campaign that they could have out there for.
What can those signs be?
They can be 20 square feet. And, you know, if they're short term, they can apply for all 4 of those permits at one time. So that's a sign that can be out right at Kingston Pike for 40 days. So, I mean,
That would do it.
what'd you say?
That would do it because they'll be
Yeah.
out of here.
I mean, and I think that may be a better alternative
I
than
think so,
amending our
too.
ordinance to open this. Because what if it's not Halloween City? Mark and I were kind of, what if it's a Christmas store then, and then an Easter store, 4th of July? I mean, it could be,
I mean, it's better than the building sitting empty. You know, I mean, that's what it's been doing for how many
Yeah.
years now?
Yeah, at least we're getting revenue off of it,
That's the way I
plus
look
the
at it.
sales. But,
But they could also put a sign up there that has a consistent background with lettering, just like everybody else does, and drawing business, just like everyone else does, with a sign that's compatible
But every Halloween
with
city
Farragut wine
within the
and
surrounding
spirits.
counties uses the same color. So now we're talking about change your corporate logo to match the town of Farragut, and that's where we fall into town of Farragut's not business friendly.
Well, I
I
don't-
believe they already have a wall sign on the side of their building, do they not?
They do.
They
Yeah.
do. It's on your agenda also.
Yeah, I'm looking at, yeah.
To talk about. I mean, we can talk about them both because they both have the same issues in our opinion.
well, I noticed it from the road, and I didn't notice that sign at all. What I noticed
That
was
sign
the
has
building.
been removed. This
Okay,
tenant
well,
panel has been removed.
I sure noticed the building.
Before it was removed.
Yes.
Actually, this other sign, 20 by 20, you said? Mm-hmm.
It's 20 square feet total.
20 square feet, okay.
Yeah.
Can that be, does that have to, certain parameters around it? Or can it be yellow? I mean, I know you don't want day glow.
It has
but
to
can
have
it
a
be yellow and orange?
It can be the background has to be white.
Okay.
It has to have a Shop Farragut logo on it,
Yeah.
and then it's whatever other color scheme they want to put on it at that point.
And it would sit out there beside this sign.
It
And
would.
just be put in the ground there temporarily
And
and
it would be right on
be
Kingston
right on
Pike
Kingston
versus.
Pike.
Probably be yeah, because it's right at the 10-foot line that those
It
can
could
be placed
white,
too.
They could put a big black bat on it or something. I mean, you know, there's all kinds of stuff you
Well,
can.
Other than the white
There's a-
background and the Shop Farragut logo,
There's
that's
another consideration.
two requirements.
I think in addition to the colors, how are they going to mount this to the?
When I was out there, it was actually bolted on to the sign.
What material was used?
It was almost like a fabric type material.
That's what I was thinking. It wasn't really a sign. It was
No,
more
because
like
it's
a banner.
it's smaller than that wine and spirits as it's shown, but it was
Right.
bolted in there. I have some pictures I can send you guys.
Well,
of
I
it.
remember
mean,
seeing it when I drove by, and it didn't look like it was a solid, solid sign. So it looked more like a timber. So it doesn't really, from that respect, meet the normal ground-mounted sign that we would see.
Looks more
Right.
like a bumper sticker.
Well, I definitely want to agree with Evan on his point about, that's a particular brand that they built.
Sure.
And I know it's Dayglow, but that's the brand that they built. Let's say if Dairy Queen had Dayglow in their orange, would we say, it's Dayglow? You know what I'm saying? It's a slippery slope when you start talking about changing their look. And I know how difficult it is to do things in this town, but there seems to be some compromise somewhere. And you really want to have tenants in that building if you can. And I know temporary doesn't work with the restrictions that we've set up and all that stuff. But
Sure.
I don't know the solution at this point, but I feel like there's one there. And it might not be banners. And I don't know if the town of Farragut sign, yeah, that's a great solution. But for them, you've taken the 20 by 20 sign and you've really made it a 10 by 15. You know what I'm saying? Once you put all the other stuff on there. So I don't know if amendment's possible.
Amendment could be possible. It's will not go through the process in time for this
Yeah.
business to open and close. I mean, that's not, but we won't meet again here till October, the end of October, so it'll come before you all first before it goes to
Yeah.
planning. But if it's something you all want to pursue, I mean, certainly
The
give us some,
The town sign they could put up tomorrow.
yeah, I mean, it doesn't go through this board at all. It's an administrative review.
Well, since they should have thought that should have been discussed before they
Are they already in the building?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And so, I'm sorry.
It seems to me like the ground sign would be the immediate answer.
The shop Farragut sign, you mean?
The special event type.
And then next year, I mean, going in, knowing ahead of time that something different
And we'll
needs to
have
be done.
have something in the ordinance by then, because so yeah, you could say it could be Halloween-ish and then Christmas.
Yeah.
It's not
Business is
just
better than an
this.
empty building,
Yeah.
and that building's
Yeah.
been an eyesore for years.
I'm not negating that at all. I'm really not. We want revenue off of that. I think our issue is, and honestly, I probably wouldn't have as much issue with it if the background was consistent with what's out there now.
Well, are you saying that's not what's out there now?
Well, it was out there. They've now removed it,
This right
so
here.
I think she's talking about just like on the first watch sign where
the background
Oh.
changed.
Yeah,
same,
I'm
but
sorry.
The
I'm
lettering was different for each one.
We're
So
talking, we're talking about ground signs, and I'm thinking.
You're
all
at the
signs.
wall
I'm sorry.
sign.
I'm thinking
No,
about
you're
everything.
fine.
Yeah, for
mean,
this,
we
I
can
agree.
talk about the wall sign.
No, I agree for this. I don't think it needs to be there, period. So what will they have on the storefront? Anything?
They have nothing on the storefront because they're electing to put it on because they can face it out towards the public street. So it's where they elect, and because they have more linear footage along Brooklawn, which if I was that business, that's the wall signage I would elect for.
Yeah.
So it's placed along Brooklawn there, and I can jump to
Go to the
it.
gas station in Kroger, you see it from the Kroger.
Well, I saw
parking
it,
lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I was actually just happy that something was in there,
Well,
honestly.
that was me when I seen it. I was like, cool. It's just revenue.
And that's it there. That's the wall sign. I mean, if you've seen it. So that's,
Still.
I think for the future, we need to look at amending something so these, at least we could gain some revenue off of the even temporary businesses. But due to the late date, I would recommend they do the
That's not what they had.
Farragut sign.
Farragut
the
sign.
special
Just
event
to get
type
it going,
signs.
yeah. With the understanding that we would look at
Next year.
next year and amending something.
So, to make sure we handle item C properly, there
So are
was
you-
an application put in,
Yes, so you either
For-
have to take action to approve it or deny
but we
it.
and that's what I was getting at. We would have to formally deny that. We can make a recommendation to use the Shop Farragut campaign type signage,
Yes,
which would take them through Halloween and
it would.
would
I
get them
mean,
there.
We would work with
So
them.
that would be on this one. Now we'll carry on to the other one in a minute, but
Right.
okay. So on, go ahead, Dwayne.
Have you discussed that with them about using the shop Farragut?
We haven't discussed it with them. We've been really addressing sign violations there more so than discussing other things.
Okay.
So did they
So-
put that sign up before you all knew it was there, or?
Yes,
Okay.
both of them.
Who actually owns the monument sign? Is it the shopping center or the Farragut Wine and Spirits?
Or Farragut.
No, it's not the
It's,
town of
it's on
Farragut.
private property. With them occupying space, it leads me to believe that there's something in their lease agreement that would give them the use of that sign.
Okay.
Okay. So to be clear again, we either have to approve or deny the sign that's on item C. We could approve it, make recommendations to change the background color and
Correct.
make recommendation about the material or whatever we want to do there. Or we
Correct.
can deny it and make a recommendation to use the Shop Farragut campaign. Those are our
For your
two
options.
basic options. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
Or approve it flat out right as it stands.
Oh,
So
okay.
there,
There is a third option.
there's three.
I guess I have one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
Can the town of Farragut do anything about it anyway, if it's on a private property owned?
Oh, yeah.
If the sign is private
If
property?
a sign is placed without a permit, we can cite them to
Okay.
court,
Okay.
Sure.
which is what was the path we were on with this sign.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, I move that the Halloween City tenant panel be denied and they be encouraged to use the Shop Farragut sign.
Okay.
With the understanding that we will address possibility of amending the temporary signage
Okay.
For some time in the future.
in the future.
Well, you're rewriting, you're overhauling the sign ordinance as it is right now.
We are, so we can look at adding
you-
something in there for temporary provisions.
Yeah, something, say that would work for a turkey and ham thing, Thanksgiving, Christmas.
Whatever it may be, because it's not Halloween City. I mean, I've shopped there. It's nothing against this business in particular. It's any temporary business that may pop up in a vacant tenant space. How do we deal with those? Because the way our ordinance is structured, we have to treat them as a permanent business.
Yeah,
Like they're not going to go away in 90 days, so.
And we just have to have something in place, and so, if they come back next year, they know, okay, we have to do this for Farragut.
Yeah, and if they're temporary too, I could almost envision a agreement on their application, or they submit a letter on the removal periods too, so.
Sure.
Because,
Yeah.
I want to get away from that Farragut's tough on business. I want everyone to come. I want everyone to spend money.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to deny and make a recommendation that they use the Shop Farragut campaign. Do we have a second for that?
I will second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. So would it be, I think it would probably make more sense right now to move on to the Halloween City wall sign and then come back to the, since we're already on this topic. Because we need to take action on this pretty much the same. Well, we can't do exactly the same because they're not allowed any other wall sign than this. So we don't have a Shop
This is
Farragut
what they're
campaign.
allowed, and I mean we're bringing it before you all, but they're within the parameters, I will say, of square footage. That's not the question. It's really the aesthetics, and then because this is the mixed-use town center area, and there's an additional guideline that really relates to wall signs. It's guideline 1.5, locate and design a wall sign to promote design compatibility among the buildings. It was one, but I mean, it's the same discussion, we just had with the tenant panel. And I will say, I did make them give me an email to say when these signs would be, this sign in particular would be removed. It's around November 5th. So just adding that to the conversation, because I'm not comfortable letting something be up and mainly being abandoned and then us, the town, having to go in and remove it. So knowing it's temporary in nature. But I mean, it's still the same discussion that we just had with the tenant panel. But I think Randy brings up a very valid point, and Edwin too. It's just how, as my dad would say, how do you skin that cat and get around this whole temporary use, because it's not a special event like I use, like Feeding God's Children, that pops up in the parking lot there and has the cookout and is gone in a weekend. This is a little more long term, and just not wanting to compromise. Certainly they do have a brand in mind, but not wanting to compromise the aesthetics that we've set for the community.
So I've not seen the sign in probably, I noticed it maybe 2 weeks ago when it was up. In my mind, I thought this was a banner-looking sign.
That's how I seen it too. It's just a banner hung up there.
If you look at their drawing, it's supposed to be affixed with bolts and whatnot, and in 13 pieces, what this says.
yeah.
Unless I am mistaken,
No, I see. It's the same
Yeah.
thing. It's just a banner hanging up there.
it's on that building.
I would agree with that.
Okay. Because, well, seems like they're trying to appease the Farragut, but they ended up doing something else that's much cheaper. Yeah.
I would say if you do recommend for this, holding them to the standard of construction that they've presented to us.
Well, and that was my point earlier about the sign out by the street. It looked like more of a fabric type sign, and I think this
Yeah.
does too. It looks more like a banner than an actual sign. What about lighting of the sign?
It's not illuminated at all.
I know, but is there, I can't remember in all of the architectural design standards for this area, would lighting be required?
It's not required, but if you are to have lighting, it's to be external in this area, so
Okay.
no internal illumination. Or it allows for like the day glow type effect in this area, so that it's got some character and unique, but external illumination in the mixed-use town center area.
Do you have a picture on your phone of this sign? I mean, we're doing this from memory, right? I mean,
Right.
I wouldn't want to say that, and then we go out there and it looks just like this.
2 days ago, and I want to say it was just like a fabric banner hanging
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
It's pinned.
Edwin, is what out there now, does it have the pumpkins on the end
No, it
attached?
doesn't.
I didn't think so.
No,
I thought it
it's
was
just
one
that.
Know if they've
big.
just put a
what I
temporary
thought.
banner up until they get this approved?
No, the pumpkins are up.
They are?
Yeah.
Are they?
Oh.
Does it look like that it's,
The other signs that are up there, they're like, they're white background with mostly like black lettering in some color. So if they used a white background on this instead of the yellow, and we allowed them to
And
have
it-
some color with the orange, because
it
they want to
looks
stand
more
out for
banner.
Halloween, and it is
You look at the
temporary.
bottom and how that does, but
Yeah.
it's hard to tell
Yeah.
from that
That,
picture.
I mean, because it is,
Well, they're
Right.
kind of, they're kind of under the gun now. They're already in there, so.
Well, that's, you know,
I mean, the white
they're all over the place.
background.
They just find an empty shopping center and it's like Angel Tree. I got a buddy with Angel Tree, and anywhere there's a empty grocery store, they.
I have no words. I'm sorry.
let me see.
The white background would hold
Okay.
it consistent
It's
with
three
the
banners.
others.
It's a banner with two.
Yeah, it's two.
It's not this.
But it needs to be out
Yeah.
of this material and not banner.
How it get the waves in it, especially
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
it's
That's exactly
But if
what
it's
I'm
bolted, but there's some.
Yeah,
All of the
it's not
banner
this.
we've been having.
Then I think your suggestion of a white background would be an economical deal for them. Even if they got a new banner made, it can't be that expensive.
Well,
And if
but
you
would
change
we
the
allow
yellow to
them to
white.
have a banner, or do
Yeah.
they need to do the sign like they have it written in this
We
application?
don't allow for banners at all within the town.
Okay.
That's a prohibited type sign. We don't allow any business to have them, so it would have to be as they've proposed,
Okay. Yeah.
if that's what you all recommend.
I could go with that.
I could go with that.
What, a
If-
white
If they,
banner?
if it's a real sign.
Orange for the pumpkins and the Halloween. Just make the yellow a white.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's a easy. I mean, that's a
Are
cheap
they
and easy
open now?
fix.
Yeah. They opened this
Build it-
past
They
weekend.
build it like that. I could see that.
Sure. Now, I can agree to that. That sounds good to me. I guess you guys will have to
We'll
work on
begin
how to enforce
discussions
that,
with
but
them.
all right.
You want them to come back next year, though, because they do make some money for our town.
They do make some money. I mean, that's a popular business.
It
I
is.
mean,
I-
it's,
I go there sometimes.
I need to shop
Or
these
half.
out of it.
You know, that
and
is
they're a division of Party City, so I mean, that's a huge retailer, so.
and that is a great location to have some of these temporary things pop in right now. I mean, good visibility and it's empty and
Place for the house.
so.
Party City and
So we've had a discussion now. Is there any further discussion on this wall sign?
Well, I only have to ask one question, is that we will deny, approve, or whatever. We are doing this signage right here, right? What
You're
we
doing the
see-
wall signage
Yeah.
that I just showed you on my phone
Right,
too.
well, we're not approving or denying what you showed me on
No,
the phone.
you're going to take
Yeah.
action, and I would say if you do make a motion to approve, clarify that it is to be the materials as proposed to you for this meeting.
Okay.
The only issue that I have with that is I'm not sure I see on here what material is proposed.
It's on there. Let's.
Did
I don't think
somewhere I'm missing?
I don't see it.
I think somewhere in
No,
our
It looks like it says, and let me draw your attention to it.
It says 0.
It
It's,
says extended wall system, yeah, materials vary.
and then if you read below, it says 3.6 inch by 2.5 aluminum.
Screws.
Screws, it doesn't give the,
It doesn't give-
So I would say
One down, right above the red box is the material for the actual sign.
it's coroplast, 1.4 inches thick.
Yeah, that's a fabric. It's basically a plastic banner is what it's saying.
Okay.
So while they're showing the screws, they're showing that coroplast much thicker than what it really is.
Yeah. I would not, that
misleading.
material's not going to be permitted, so
No.
it would have to be at least like an alumicore or something like that. Similar,
this thickness may be the pulled end, the pole of the banner, possibly. That may be what
The
that is.
bracing of
The
where it's-
bracing of it,
yeah.
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 Quite possibly.
It's 1/4 inch thick for the material, and it's
like,
no.
like the music store that just opened back last summer at, just next to Farragut Wine and Spirits. I mean, theirs is that aluminum background with the black vinyl letters to it. I mean, it's pretty inexpensive type sign too. It's not as cheap as a banner material, but
On what we're discussing here, we basically have no choice but to deny this sign as presented because of the material and the background,
yeah.
and recommend that they use a white background with a aluminum or substantial material of some sort that would not be considered a banner or
Yes.
something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, you can deny with a recommendation, and as long as they go with that recommendation, then we can issue the permit once we get the revision.
Okay.
How long would it take to make the sign?
They'll be gone.
Well,
before it's
that's
made.
going to depend on who they get to make it.
And I will say, we had been in contact with them about their signs months prior to them pulling permits. So that's why we're bringing these to you all too, because we've had a conversation. We had had a conversation prior to any permits being submitted to the town. So,
So there was ample opportunity.
yes, sir.
Okay, that
All right.
makes it a little clearer to me.
And just deny it.
Well, I said it a second ago, so let me deny what I said. The sign as presented here, and then we'll make a recommendation to change it to a more aluminum or solid material that is in the
Compliant
sign
with town
ordinance.
standards.
Yeah,
Okay.
with the white background. So making that motion to deny is presented with that recommendation. Do we have a second for that?
I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Now, question, does that mean since they can't get it made in time, they're going to end up leaving that sign up anyway?
No, we'll have them remove the sign and
Then they'll have
get
no
it
sign?
fabricated.
Well, we just
Oh, do they have
that
time to
one
get
out by
that
the
in?
street, you know.
Oh,
we talked
okay.
about. They can put that Shop Farragut sign out there if they.
Get those made, those shop Farragut's made quickly. I mean,
Quickly.
this is later, sorry?
How many can they have?
They can have 4 per calendar year, so that's 40 days worth, so they'll be gone.
So they can put one almost down by the Dairy Queen?
No,
on the
they get
corner?
one sign,
Okay.
but they get 4 of the permit, so that one sign can stay up for 40 days.
But it'll be out of Kingston Pike. It'll be visible.
Yeah.
It'll be visible. All right, so we need to back up now to the last ground-mounted sign, which was item G, the shell/pilot
Okay.
location out near Watt Road.
It's interesting.
My apologies, I was just finishing up. Okay. This is a recommendation really to change out the faces of the sign there at Watt Road and Kingston Pike for the pilot that's out there. They're adding the Shell branding to their sign, making it a white background. We felt as though it's very legible, increasing those numbers on the gas. Not really changing the frame or the base or the addressing above. So with those changes, staff would recommend approval.
I mean, the numbers are plenty big. You'll read that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It looks pretty visible. Most people know what's there anyway, so to me, it's very, very readable. Discussion. All right, do we have a motion?
I'll motion to approve.
Do we have a second? All right, motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so we're going to move down to the November, December meeting schedule. And so what you're proposing here is to just have one meeting over those 2 months. Is that correct? So like we've done in previous
Yes, sir.
years?
Yes, sir, especially with November 22nd being the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and knowing people may travel, and then December 27th being the Tuesday right after Christmas.
Right.
And knowing people may take that long week off to be with their families in between Christmas and New Year. So we would just ask that you guys make a motion to cancel those two. And then I've given you dates, 5 dates of where this room is actually available. So I threw some Wednesdays in there, knowing that those really could be conflicts. So if you guys want to keep to the Tuesday, that would put us at either November 29th, which is right after Thanksgiving, or Tuesday, December 13th.
Well, I like keeping with the Tuesday in the sense that people are accustomed to that.
Sure.
The only Tuesday that I could do that would be the November 29th, when I do have something on the 13th.
Okay. What about everybody else?
I'm okay with the 29th.
I can do any of them.
I'm a very dull person.
Oh,
It's up to the working people have to decide.
No, I just wanted to make sure everybody would be back from Thanksgiving.
November 29th would probably be the better one for me, but
Awesome.
I'm going to be going to New Mexico a lot between now and the first of the year, so
This,
November.
Okay.
like November 29th works.
As long as we can get 4 here to have the meeting, I think we'll be doing good.
So we need to make a formal motion.
If you would, that way we can go ahead and start publicizing that those meetings are canceled and that we're establishing November 29th as the meeting there.
So the first motion will be to cancel the regularly scheduled November and December meetings that were scheduled for November 22nd and December 27th. Do we have a motion to cancel those meetings?
I make a motion to cancel.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And then the second motion will be to reschedule those into one combined meeting on Tuesday, November 29th. So do we have a motion for that?
I'll make a motion that we reschedule for Tuesday, November 29th.
All right, do we have a second? We have a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
November 29th.
Yes.
All right, and so the last item on our agenda is the rezoning notification sign sample.
Okay, so we've ordered just the one, and I want to thank Randy for taking a look at this and helping me with this, but this is kind of the sign that we're thinking about going with for notification. And then Mark and I had talked and kind of gone back and forth, because we currently don't do a BZA sign, that if we elected to do BZA, we would just order one and change out rezoning pending to a message there that's pending. But this is kind of what we're thinking of going with, and just wanted to bring it to you all to get some input. We're actually going to put it, we have a rezoning out on Grigsby Chapel. They're kind of across from Wyndham Hall. That we had our old sign on. We're actually going to put this sign out there just to see if it's getting any traction. People are noticing it. But since we've paid for it, certainly we're going to use it. But if you all have anything that you see or concerns or modifications before we order more,
I like it. I think it looks a lot better than the
Stands out a lot better.
yeah.
A lot easier
you think
to
the
read.
contrast is
Oh, yeah. Good.
okay?
That'll catch your eye.
Yeah.
Thank you. Like I said, Randy helped me take a look at this. So,
Good job.
yeah.
Actually, I did. It's great. It does.
So
It still has your branding in there. It looks strong and official and get your attention. So
Yeah.
we're hoping they're not stolen like our other ones have been. So,
Well, it's some of the others, when you drive by, you see that they're there, but you just can't read anything. But this, I
Yeah.
think you could read.
Yeah.
Right.
So we'll put it out there probably tomorrow or Thursday and see if anybody has any comments too. So, but I appreciate you guys taking time and giving us feedback on this so that we can get moving on something that we can put out and that's clear for people to know what's happening on a piece of property.
I have a question for you. Isn't there like a number, like a number that's filed with each of the zoning?
Not in our community.
Is there not?
We don't.
There was something that, like, if somebody was walking by, especially like in Grigsby Chapel or somewhere like that, that if they wanted information on it, rather than going to the website and trying to like find which one it was and what's going on and looking through the agendas and all that kind of stuff, people get overwhelmed with it, trying to find out what's this notice about. Like, they see the sign, they know
Sure.
what's going on, they have the website now, they can call, but it's
We
overwhelming
encourage
to
them
do
to
that?
call, and mostly that's what we get is our calls about rezoning requests mainly. So, but we're not like MPC that assigns a case number or some other communities because our volume just isn't that high to have individual case numbers to be tracking things through. So, usually if I don't know, Mark will know, and one of us is always in the office. We try to field those questions, but no, I think because the sample we looked at in Collierville had that case number on there, which I think would be great because you could just write it in with a dry erase or something that would come off. But since we don't have that, it would be difficult for us. So
did a couple examples that had it, or like even a box, like a realtor box on it that you could grab something that explained it,
Oh, like a realtor uses.
that had,
well, that's not a bad idea either. So
Yeah. Yeah, like a realtor, a one-page thing that,
yeah, I mean we can price that and see what it would be, but
That's not a bad idea.
We're trying to make money.
I will say they're not cheap. I mean, this was relatively cheap. The frame was what was a little pricey on it because the frame's so substantial. So,
Right.
but
Looks good.
Yep. Good job.
well, thank you all for your help with it.
All right. Any other items for tonight? All right. So with that, we'll close the meeting for September.
Thank you all so much.
Don't everybody leave yet.
Oh, we have to do the picture, don't we?
We have to take our picture.
Yeah.
Maybe a week or so ago, I was over at